Hello and welcome to the Kitchen Knitter podcast where I chat about what I've been knitting and sewing. I know it's been a while. In fact, I didn't realise how long it was until I sort of looked back on my last podcast, and it was March. Just time has run away with me. I don't lead that busy a life, but time has run away with me. We had a couple of things done in the house which made podcasting impossible. We've had the Arga. It was a gas Arga. We've now had it made into an electric Arga, so I'm not basking in the cosy warmth of the Arga here. My feet are freezing, but at least we have more control over the heat. We hope it's going to be less expensive, so we'll see. And we've had some work done. We have more electric sockets put in the house and a new garage door, things like that, and so it's just not been conducive. And then of course what happened a couple of weeks ago, it didn't seem right to podcast then either. So but I'm here now with a few things to show you, not all finished, no surprise there, but well, I'll show you what I've been doing. The other thing was that I didn't lose interest in knitting. I don't like the word mojo, but everything I cast on I didn't like, or didn't like the yarn choice with the pattern. And nothing wrong with the wool, nothing wrong with the pattern, just my choices I didn't like. So I kept sort of stopping and starting with things. But I think I'm back on track now, and sort of just, you know, having a word with myself and just saying, you know, get on with it. So the first thing I've got to show you is a finished item. Can I say there's two of them? Some socks. Now these are the Woodland Walk socks by This Handmade Life, I think. And it's a very pretty pattern. And this is a short row heel. It's got the little, you do garter stitch for the start and end of the 3 stitches, start and end of the row, and they're very easy to pick up then for the gusset. And I've never done that one before, and I quite like that. That way of doing things. So it's looking a bit stretched, the pattern, but it's very pretty. And there's another one. And these are in, I'll show you the pattern, and that was the pattern I used. You see, it's a free pattern, so there's a chart. You get a chart to follow, which is very easy to follow, very easy. I haven't done many charts, and that was very easy. And there's a better picture of the toe, not the toe, the heel. So that was my first object, the first finished object, and I used yarn by, I haven't got the ball band now, but it was Tales from Yarncraft. That makes sense, Tales from Yarncraft, and the colourway was Snowfall, and it does look very, it's sort of a bluey grey. Camera's not really picking it up well, but a bluey grey, and I think these are for me because I don't wear socks very often. I wear them in the house, because I don't wear boots. So I had a pair, and I've worn them into holes. They're beyond repair. So these, I think, are for me. I think that might be the thumbnail. The thumbnail pictures that YouTube have made, I look a simpleton. I just do not like them. So we'll see what happens with that one. I knew I should be able to sort my own thumbnail out and things, but it's all a bit of a mystery to me. Finished item number 1. The second one is a cardigan, and I think I had started this, it may have been the last or the podcast before that, and it is a cardigan. Now I'm a bit shy of modelling these things because I'm a bit chunky, and I'm just a bit shy of doing it really. So the pattern was a Rowan pattern from a very old book. This one, Rowan pattern number 26, and this, oh, I shouldn't show you all that, should I? And it was this one called Mist. There might be, there's a colour picture a bit better. Oh dear, where is it? Oh, here we are. That's it. And I quite like this bit of detail. I have knitted this before. When the book came out, I knitted it, and I knitted it in the blue rather than a green, and it ended up in the washing machine and shrunk. But it's, you don't have, once you've knitted it all and sewn it up, that's it, you're done. You don't, there's no neck bands or button bands or anything like that. There's a button there, and there's one on the inside. I haven't put mine on the inside, sort of to stop this one. I think this one from sort of drooping down, so it keeps the shape. But it's all moss stitch. Now I know moss stitch is a bit of a faff to knit, but I love the effect. I love the effect, and so this is my Mist. Now let me just fasten it up, and then it would be better if I had put this on, I suppose, but see, there, and you can see I do need actually to put something up there so that it doesn't droop. That's not helpful at all, is it? There we go, a bit better to show you. How can I do this? So there should be that you put a little sort of a button loop inside with another button, and it stops it from drooping down. But I think you get the gist. You get the gist, and it's all moss stitch. I have made a couple of mistakes. Under there I think I've gone into rib rather than moss stitch on a couple of stitches, but it's under the arm, so then this is for me, so I'm not bothered. It's knit in Rowan tweed, Rowan felted tweed, and it is the colourway Ancient. I haven't got any ball bands left. That's the thing with leaving things so long. I tidy up, and then I regret it, because I've had to reprint the sock pattern because I've lost it. So that is Mist. Now I'm trying to sort of get the. You see how it's sort of uneven. An even bottom like that. It's very nice. I thought I might have put it on with this dress, but I'm not sure it goes. It's a different, because it's not showing up in the camera, but this is pink, like a very pale pink in there. So that's a second finished item. It was knit on quite fine needles. I think that's the other time consuming thing. Now I've lost the pattern. In fact, it should open at this point. Here we are. I've got coffee stains and marks all over. You knit it on 3 3/4 needles, just one pair, 3 3/4 all the way through, and it took 7 balls of Rowan felted tweed. I quite like that. I'm a big fan of Kim Hargreaves patterns. I think it was a sad day when she left Rowan. I know she's still affiliated with them because she uses their wool for her patterns, and she's retiring this year. She's only going to produce 2 books this year. She's produced 1, and I believe there's another one on the way, and then she's not doing any more. I've got nearly all her books anyway, so but that's a shame. Remember, I knitted that one for my niece a long time ago, that scarf, and I intended to knit that jumper for myself. I never did. There's some nice patterns in there. I think this goes back to 1999. So it's 20 23 years old. Anyway, it's a fairly classic style. So that's those two. And the other thing I think I showed you on my last podcast was cardigan, this cable cardigan. And I haven't finished it because again this was just a bit too hot to work on in our summers. We're in the northwest, Cheshire. I live in Cheshire in the northwest. Did I say that at the beginning of the video? I don't think I did. And we don't normally get very hot weather. We get muggy weather, and it's known for its wet weather. My son now lives in Hampshire, and he says you just don't know how damp it is up here, Mum, until you move away from it. And I think he's right. So I wasn't knitting this very much, even though it's quite light. So this is another Kim Hargreaves pattern, and it's from her winter book. I mean, that's lovely, but it's bobbles and I can't knit bobbles. I don't like bobbles. Mine don't look like bobbles. I'm not going to say what they do look like, but they don't look like bobbles. And I'm knitting, I'll show you this one. It's there's no buttons, it's just one of these pull on and go cardigans. And I'm knitting it in the colour, this colour there, which is called soft satin. The thing with Rowan is they don't put the shade names on their ball bands, they just put a number. But this, I believe it's soft satin, and knit on 6mm and 7mm needles. So it's a chunky knit, and you knit two balls together. And yeah, I'm knitting it in Alpaca Classic. So you're knitting it. It's two 25-gram balls. So it's a bit heavy on the balls. It's 20. My size takes, which I'm doing the medium, and that is going to take 20 balls. It's a lot of wool. I've been buying it bit by bit actually, which is a bit dangerous, isn't it? I was buying it. We've got a John Lewis about 10 minutes up the road, and I go to the haberdashery quite a lot, and so I just was buying a few at a time while I was knitting it, which is a bit dangerous because you don't always get the same dye lot. But I was mixing the dye lots, and so far I think I can't see any harsh line or any definite line. So I think it's working. But anyway, because I think it's £5.95 a ball, £6.95 a ball. So it's, yes. Anyway, so I think in my previous podcast I showed you the back, and I've made a mistake, and I still haven't rectified the back. I will do, because it does. You can see where I've gone wrong. It's there, and it's not too far down. But I think I will do that when I've done everything else, and I've sewn up as much as I can, and then it's a case of just finishing that off in an evening or an afternoon. So it's quite long, and then I've done. See again, you see it's showing it in pieces isn't terribly exciting, but I've done, and that's the left front, and you just do half of the pattern. You do the cable is over 6 stitches, and you do 3 to the back on this one, and then you do 3 to the front on this one, because you've split it on the back, 3 to the front and 3 to the back, which I had to concentrate on. There were a few rip backs when I realised I'd done it the wrong way around. So I've done the back, I've done the left front, and I've done a sleeve. Now the sleeves aren't very big at all, but it's quite a. I can see there's some scribblings. There's a bit of a drop shoulder there. I don't know if you're focusing on me. there's a sort of a band there where it's a drop shoulder, so the sleeves aren't very long at all. You can whiz those up quite quickly, she says. So that's a work in progress. It's a very, drop the ball now. And yeah, I just could not let this in the summer. It was far too hot and sticky, and that's the needles I've dropped now. This table isn't big enough. It isn't big enough on this occasion for all what I'm going to show you. So that's that, and that's been living in this basket because there's so much of it. One of my French market baskets, and I've got 4 balls left, and I'm hoping that that's going to be enough, but we'll see. So this will be. I mean, it is autumn now, so I need to get on with it because it'll be a nice just to pull on with a plain dress. And it's a really nice. You can't. That's a fair. Yeah, fair colour. It's a sort of a mucky pink. It's but it's called soft satin. Alpaca classic in the wing by Kim Hargreaves. So just move those over there. So the rest are sort of either lapsed works in progress or a new cast on. Now I just wanted to see what this one would look like, so I've cast on, and it's only I've done hardly anything, but it is another another Kim Hargreaves pattern, and it's from this book called Grey, which suits me down to the ground because I love grey. And it is, I'll show the bigger picture rather than the bit with the pattern. That one. And that one is called Cobweb. And it's all garter stitch. Fitted cardigan, all garter stitch. I wouldn't be wearing it with a belt. It would just be, in fact, I may not even put buttons on it. It would just be a little loose card, a bit like this one, sort of a light cardigan too. This one is starting to look worse for wear. I wear it constantly. It's there, that one there. And you knit it on Rowan fine lace and silk mohair together to get, oh, it's all tangled up, and I've stopped in the middle of a row, which is not good. That's the right side there. I mean, it's just garter stitch, but I'm trying to sort of show the effect and the colour. It's just garter stitch. So that's a very easy. That's a tele knitting pattern, and I'm using fine lace and mohair, and the colourways are, now again, it's shade 664. Yeah, 664 in the Kid Silk Haze mohair, and the fine lace is, I can't see that. But let's see how they write it on. Okay, I just can't. Oh, it's printed, I should say. 950, 950. Fine lace. I've knitted in the colours that maybe it'll tell me on the pattern, because I've knitted it in the colours that the pattern called for. Yes, the Kid Silk Haze is steel and the fine lace is pigeon. I then had to go on the website to find out what the dialogues were when I went up to. Again, I bought that in John Lewis, but I bought all the balls I need. I don't think you need that. You don't need that many. Kid Silk Mohair, the Kid Silk Haze, mohair. It goes quite a long way. Yes, you need. I'm doing the medium. I need, yeah, six of the kid silk haze and 3 of the fine lace. So that's not too bad. Although kid silk mohair is the kid silk haze is quite expensive, but it is gorgeous, and the colours are gorgeous as well. I mean, I just think they're lovely. It's looking a bit greeny there, but it's definitely grey. And well, I suppose pigeon has a bit of a grey-green effect, but it's lovely. So that's I've only just started that one, and then I sort of just to see how these things would go together. The colours, it's really nice, and it's easy, and I just felt like a new cast on in my out of last stitches bag. Another lapsed. This is definitely a lapsed project. I started this at the beginning of the summer, and I can't remember if it was a podcast or an Instagram thing, and it was, you know, what's in your project bag? And apart from all the things that you need, I've got crisp packets and crisp packets and hankies, pencils, pens. Where's that pen's been? Oh. Anyway, this is. Now I've had 2 goes at this shawl, and I'm blowing hot and cold as to whether I like it or not. It's the Birds of a Feather shawl by Andrea Mowry. I mean, everybody knows. I think I'm probably the only person in the knitting world that hasn't knitted this, and I mean, it's spectacular. It's lovely. But I bought some Eden Cottage yarn wool, and I think I showed it on a podcast. And I think I sort of complimented myself on getting the matching right with the mohair, because you do a section of mohair. Oh, I'll show you. You do a section of mohair and then a section of the wool. And this, I've now decided. What I didn't like was would be a contrast. You know, you're knitting it in this, and then you're knitting it in the mohair. You're not knitting them together, it's in sections. And I didn't like, I thought it was too harsh, my choice of the yarn. The yarn was gorgeous. It was called Barn Door, it was beautiful, and I think the mohair was Falling Leaves. It was lovely autumnal colours. But I just wasn't happy with it, so I've put that to one side for something else. I mean, it's sock yarn. So I thought, I watched a podcast, Nicole from the Gentle Knitter podcast, and it's quite a few podcasts ago, and she knitted this, and she did it with very little. It looked to me like very little difference, apart from it was mohair and it was wool, but it just seemed to seamlessly, rather than it look like sections, it all just seemed to be seamless, and it was gorgeous. And I thought I might get that effect with this. So this is how much I've done. You see, it's very light, but that's the yarn, the wool, and then this is the mohair bit, and then you start with the wool bit and you go, and I can see why it's Birds of a Feather. I mean, it does look like a wingspan, doesn't it? It starts off looking a little odd, and then you sort of, it all starts to fall into place. I'm using yarn from Sherry Iris, and it is called Early Morning, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. It's very subtle shades of grey. It's just absolutely lovely. That's it in the hank, and then balled up. You can't really. There's no speckles in it or anything. It's just tonal. It's lovely. And this is the mohair, and this mohair is Early Morning. I think Sherry calls it mohair, does she? Some call it floof, and let me see. I think I've got. Oh no, she just says she just calls it kid silk, and the lovely artwork on the ball band. Foxglove wood. So I needed two of those and one of those, and I think I will carry on, because I think I've got to give it a chance. I think I'm perhaps being a bit too hasty in my decisions, so I'm going to give that. You can see. So I'm going to carry on with that. I mean, it's an enormous shawl. I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I will persevere, I think, on that one. And you're knitting it on 4mm needles. They're not too tiny, but I should get rid of that crisp packet, shouldn't I? So that's one lapsed project, because I think I showed the other one on the podcast a couple of podcasts ago, and then decided I'd changed my mind. So I probably cast this on at the beginning of the summer. So it should be finished. This is a bag I made myself. It's now I can't remember if it's peony and sage or it's Kate Foreman. I have a feeling it's peony and sage. It's a gorgeous linen and silk. I bought it as a remnant. Oh, to have curtains like that. Oof. And I made a bag, a box bottom bag. It's very I've not done a bad job. I'm very self-critical on these little threads, but it's starting to look a bit used now and a bit softened, and oh, it's just lovely. I'll put the pattern in the bag. So that was one lapsed project. In fact, I thought I might enter this and another shawl into the it was a make-along that Ruth from Ruth Loves to Knit podcast and Fernanda from Little Monkeys and Me, they do this once a year, and is it Over the Pond shawl knit along? See, I should think about what I'm going to talk about and go and find out. But anyway, that was very ambitious. Obviously I haven't finished it. So I didn't enter it. The other shawl I was knitting, and I fell out of love with, not for any other reason than I thought it was just going to be too big, was it was a make-along, and I'm not very good at make-alongs. I can't keep up. And this was a mystery knit-along. And it was there's no picture of it, but it was the Miss May, Curious Handmaids mystery knit along, Helen Stewart, and it was Miss May. I'm trying to find the beginning of it now. Of course, you don't get a picture of it but it was this one, and it was and that's the spoiler alert that if you wanted to put your work up on Instagram. But it's the Miss May was related to William Morris. Was she his daughter? So of course it's William Morris colours and things. So I thought I'd have a go at that, and I bought. And they give you an idea of what yarns to choose beforehand, and you could either use it was 3 skeins, and you could use one colour, or you could use 3. You'd have a main and a contrast in it. And so hanky's coming out of this bag. Again, it's a Sherry Iris yarn, and I chose, it's called Garden Warbler. Again, another lovely, beautiful ball band, and it's a 4-ply sock, superwash merino and nylon. And this is it. I caked up 2 skeins, and that's skein, isn't it? Absolutely lovely. This is sort of, well, I think it's showing up quite well on the camera. I don't need, but it's greens, lovely sort of deeper greens. It's just absolutely gorgeous and caked up. It looks, that's a bit of an and tidy cake, but it's, you can see, so that's sort of how it, and this is garden warbler, and I didn't get very far before I gave up because I just thought this is going to be enormous, and I'm not. I prefer plain things. You know, it's quite a bit of detail, but I quite like the way it's. Actually, I'm looking at it now, you know, and I quite like it. Quite like it. I think that's the pattern. So I think I'm up to, I think I've just got past clue 2 here, or I could have a look at the pattern, but I think I'm just at the end of clue 2 there. So I mean, I've got a bit to go, but you know, I did think I might frog it, and I don't know, I quite like it. Yeah, sometimes you have to go back to these things, don't you? You just put them up to one side and then go back and think, actually, I quite like that. You can see some of the pattern. See, that's the danger sometimes with your choices of yarn, is that the pattern gets lost in your work. But I think it's, yeah, yes, I think I will persevere with that one, because I have seen some of the finished ones, you know, when it was all the big reveal and thing, and it is a lovely shawl. It is lovely. I just never know how to wear these. It looks like a hat. It's like a hat shawl, and I'm never quite sure how to wear them. But anyway, I'll yeah, some sherry iris bag. Yeah, I think I'll go back to that one, I think. I mean, I've talked about being chunky, and I need to lose a bit of weight, just purely for health reasons, really. And one of my, it's just, you know, bad habits. It's a nice habit, but it's a bad habit, is to have a glass of wine when I'm cooking dinner. You know, waiting for the potatoes to boil, waiting for the lasagna to do in the oven, whatever. And I usually just navel gaze out of the back door, watching the birds, looking at the garden, with a glass of wine in my hand. And really, I'm thinking, all right, I'm not going to do that anymore. And I was watching Kay from the Bakery Bears, and she talked about kitchen knitting. Now, I mean, I'm a kitchen knitter, so I sit in the kitchen. Well, I don't know if I'll do this anymore, because it's not that warm in here anymore. I haven't got the comfort of the Arga now. But she had kitchen knitting that, you know, something like a simple sock, or that she could just work on while the potatoes were boiling, or the meal was, you know, cooking, whatever. And I thought, that's such a good idea. But of course, it's got to be to hand, so I've got my kitchen knitting bag, and I caked up 3 skeins of sock yarn, and I'm just going to do the Winnick Mum, a plain vanilla sock. So I started one, and I'm knitting. This is, so I've started this one, and I'm knitting it on my 9-inch circulars. I don't think it's the Sock Wonder needles. Are they the Sock Wonder? Oh no, they're not the Sock Wonder needles. You can't get 2.25 in those needles, I believe. You've got to go, and I like to knit on 2.25. Anyway, and this yarn is Bird Street yarn, and it's Pebbles on the Beach. Now, I've never been able to get this before, but they had an update, and I set my alarm, and I didn't forget, and I got a skein. In fact, I wish I'd got a couple, but hopefully, I think it's one of their signature yarns, and they'll do it again, won't they? It's merino nylon, 100 grams, and that's what it's like caked up. It's gorgeous. It's no, I don't think the camera's doing it justice there. That's a bit better, but it knits up. I I think it's lovely. I think that's this is the kind of, you let the yarn sing, don't you? You don't do. I think a pattern might get lost in that. But I did that. That's a little progress keeper from Sherry Iris. But this is Pebbles on the Beach. So that's one I've started. And you just, people say, you know, if you want to lose some weight and stuff, just keep your hands busy. So that's what I do. And then I caked up this one. This is a Bird Street yarn. It's a bit messy. And this one's Kestrel. Again, I think again that this is want to let the yarn sing rather than do a pattern. And it, again, Bird Street yarn. Kestrel. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So I bought that one. And the other one I've got is this one, and I know this is a Sherry Iris yarn. These blues and greens, but I think I've got the ball bands come out, I think. Yes, there it is. And it's Lake in the Gloaming, and I think that's I can't remember this collection, but it's obviously sort of wood nymphs and things like that, isn't it? That Lake in the Gloaming. So they're going to be my kitchen knitting. Keep me busy. Yes. Yeah. And in my Yarn Dye's Daughter bag. Megan Lay family yarn. Oh, that's gone all over the place now. I should pick that up later. So that's my kitchen knitting. Keep me on the straight and narrow. And then, as if I haven't got enough on the needles, I thought I'd have a go at, well, I would knit a baby blanket. We are expecting a fourth grandchild at Christmas, so I'm knitting. I thought I'd knit a blanket, and it's from the Pure, Bo Peep Pure, but I'm not using the Pure. I'm using what's it called, that? I've been sharing my basket with my cardigan. I'm knitting it in the Bo Peep Falkland wool nylon, and it's DK, and it can go in the washing machine. So I'm knitting it in the colourway Robot. I thought it'd be and I have literally just started it, and it's you're knitting the you knit the square bit first, and then you add that border, and the border is that border there, the bottom of the cardigan. I might actually do the cardigan there. So you do that, and then you sew that on. Whether I can do that neatly or not we'll see. But that's the start of it, and I do like this colour. Sophie, my daughter, who's having the baby, Ted's mum, she quite likes bolder colours. I bought some Summer Light DK to knit, and some hand knit cotton to knit some jumpers in, sort of olive greens and like a raspberry red. Not they're not together, but just those kind of colours. Hopefully they'll be on the needles next time. So you've got 185 stitches on the needles, and the needles are 4mm needles, so they're not tiny, but these are my Knit Pro Symphony, Knit Pro interchangeable new ones. I think the Knit Pro Symphonies are the fixed circulars, aren't they? I've got some of those as well, but these are interchangeable ones. And the pattern is over 16 rows, but you only actually do the eyeletty thing. It's over 16 rows, but then that's to set the pattern, and then you do it from 9 to 16, and there's only 2 rows where you actually have to do a pattern, and it's a very simple pattern, very simple. But this is nice wool, and it's the same tension as pure, but we can put this in the washing machine, because I couldn't. That little jumper I did for Ted, the green and mustard one, he probably won't wear it because she's got to have time to wash it, or she'll wait till we visit. And I should buy some of that soak, shouldn't I? And she, yeah, she won't buy it, but we'll see. We'll see. So that's a baby blanket. I was chatting over Instagram with Busy Pottering, and she was knitting a cardigan from a book, Tadpoles and Tiddlers, again a Kim Hargreaves pattern for children, and it's, gosh, that goes back, that's the 90s, might even be the late 80s. I've got that book, it's upstairs, and I'd forgotten about it, but Anne was knitting this lovely, which looks like the band, and I thought, yeah, I could, and the tension, some of the yarns in that book, it's hand knit cotton, which is still available, it's still going, but I think that's one of Rowan's signature yarns, and there's a couple of others, but you can substitute. I think there's Summerlight 4-ply is a good substitute for a couple of the cardigans. There's some lovely little styles in there, and some colour work and stuff like that. Well, I think that's all. I think that's all the knitting I've got. I think. Yes, I think that's all. What's the matter with my hair this morning? It's a mess. I think that's all my knitting. So sewing, I've only got 2 things. I made this dress. I think in my last podcast, I might have bought it, or I was thinking about buying it. It's this is called, I think this is the one called Dora, but again it's my go-to. It's the Ellis or Hattie. But what I don't do is put this, there's a dart in one of them that runs up here, and I don't do that. Put sleeves in, but I don't put this dart up here, so it's quite loose around here because there's quite a bit there. And but I've been finding, I don't know, and it's me, it's nothing to do with the pattern. I don't think I'm making them big enough, so it's rubbing. And if I wear a cardigan and it's rubbing here, and it just goes thin and then into a hole, I've had to patch Visible Mend. I got a book out of the library and then bought it myself, called Visible Mending, and they show you how to do things. I mean, some of them, some things are very ornate, and it's embroidery and things like that, but fortunately I've got some of the material still, so I can patch it, because I rarely wear a dress without a cardigan. I just don't feel comfortable otherwise. But yeah, this is my go-to. I mean, there are other patterns out there. In fact, I bought a Tilly and the Buttons pattern, and I can't remember what it's called now, but it's very similar. It's a very similar style. It's got long sleeves, and I think the sort of this band here kind of comes up a bit. So I might I'm going to have a go at that. I just bought the pattern, bought it in John Lewis, and I would like to make a skirt. The Merchant and Mills have a pattern called the Shepherd, and it's a beautiful skirt. It's not unlike the skirts that you would get in Cabbages and Roses, which is a brand I adore, but it's pricey, very pricey. But it's because it's because it's where it's made and how it's made and the fabric. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And I thought I'd make this skirt, but then again you've got to think about what you're going to wear with the skirt. Make a blouse. I don't really wear blouses, and a cardigan, and I think sometimes it's just easier to put a dress on. Anyway, I might think about that. But I have made another Ellison hattie. That's the Ellis, which has the sleeves and a higher. Well, you can see the schematic there. But I don't put the pockets on. I think I must be one of the rare people who don't like pockets in dresses. I don't. I find I put my hands in them and it makes the dress sag. So, and I like this style, which I think this is the hattie. Yes, this is the hattie, but with sleeves, because I don't like my arms. I have made the sleeveless ones and then decided I'm not making them anymore. I'll put sleeves in. So I tend to, and I suppose that's a pattern hack, isn't it? I don't usually do things like that. I follow Merchant and Mills on Instagram, and they put up notifications when they've had some new material brought in, and or specials and things like that. And they had this one, and there was two of them. This one is, I think it's winter evening. There's one autumn evening and winter evening, I think. Anyway, this I've only done the top of the dress, so I need to. I don't do the fussy little thing. I do a button and just a button loop with thread, which I often have to replace because I rip it or something, gets tangled up. But that's the, gosh, it's a little bit see-through, isn't it? That's the material, and it's like it's not boiled wool, but it is a wool. I can't remember the content now. It's not pure wool. I think there's a bit of cotton in there, or it might even be silk. It's very, very soft. It looks as if it might be prickly. It reminds me of those ladybird dresses that I used to be in the 60s with the elasticated band, and they were itchy. I remember those. But it's really nice. But gosh, it is quite fine. I think I'm going to have to wear something underneath it. But it's lovely. It's lovely material. It's lovely to sew with. So I've got the top, and I haven't put the darts along here. You just have darts coming down here to shape, and it can be a bit tight, but they suggested that you use a bigger size for the neck and the facings, and then it's not quite so tight. But I've cut my pattern down to my size, so I'd need to buy in fact I'm going to have to buy a new pattern. I've used it so often it's now starting to tear, and so I might buy a new pattern and then do that pattern hack. So yes, you can see I've just pinned the facing down before I sew. There's a dart there and a dart there, and then I've got the rest of the fabric for the skirt bottom, and I don't know whether I'm going to gather it or pleat it. I have pleated before. That again is another. They show you how to do the. I think it's what I think I've got it in here somewhere. It's in here somewhere. It's you printed it off the website free, and it shows you have 6 pleats. You have 3 going this way and 6 on the back. And sometimes it's better than gathering. I find sometimes gathering can be a bit, especially on something this size, it can be a bit, or sometimes the thread snaps if you've been a bit too, which I am sometimes, and that can be a bit annoying. So I might pleat it. I'll see if it's not going to look too bulky. It might. It looks as if it's going to be bulky, but it's a very fine weave. It's lovely. So that's. I don't know whether I'll do that this afternoon or I don't know. I didn't tell you what date it was, did I? See, I'm totally out of practice. It's Monday, the 3rd of October. And did I say I was Suzanne? I'm living in the northwest in Cheshire. Probably not. So my sewing. The other thing I'm doing, and I don't know how long this is going to take me because I think it's quite large, and is a quilt. Now I call them quilts, but I don't quilt them because I can't. I'm frightened too. I think I'll ruin it. I might, if this is a success, I might. We have a specialist patchwork and quilting shop in Poynton, Patchfinders, and there's a studio there where a lady will quilt, but she has a waiting list. So anyway, the pattern is from Today's Quilter magazine, issue 91. I think it's not this month's, but last month's. Issue 91. And I'm doing I just get little supplements and things with them. I'm doing the Dutch, the vintage, I think it's called Vintage Dutch Quilt. I just have it there, I've lost the place now. Here we are, I should open up at it. So that's what I'm doing. And it's called Darling Dutch. And the designer used vintage Dutch fabrics, whereas I don't have any vintage fabric, and I certainly don't have scraps. And it's meant to be a scrappy quilt. And I think there's a better picture there. This one. I've done the blocks. You've got the four blocks. I've done a yellows and a green and a blue, and I've got do another blue. But they suggested that you buy 2 charm packs, so I bought 2 charm packs. In fact, I bought 3 charm packs, and it was the Moda charm packs. Okay, the threads that bind. That's all the colour codes of the fabrics, which doesn't mean anything when you've not got them in the order. But you get 1, 2, 3, 4. You get 6 of each, or you get 3 of each. So it's a mixture. But so I've done. I'll show you the. Oh no, it's in there. That's the fibre. I keep on bits and pieces. In front of me. So there's the green one. This one's called. I think this one's the Yankee. Oh, it's in front of me. I can tell you properly. The green one is the Yankee puzzle pattern. That's that one. And then there's the yellow one was, I think that was called Annie's Choices. Anna's Choices. Anna's Choice. So that's the yellow one. This one's Anna's Choice. And then the blue one was a New England Star pattern. And that's that one. And these are all from the fabric. The pattern fabric is the threads that bind charm packs. And they're quite. I mean, if you don't look too closely, because I've made some mistakes, but this is this quilt will go on the settee in the conservatory. I think I was saying in another previous podcast I wanted to make a bigger quilt. So I've done those 3, and then I've got dropped them all now, and I've got some more blues to make the second blue block, which is called the Barbara Frici Star. I think I might. I don't know how I'm pronouncing that. Can you see the Barbara? So you do that, and then it's quite easy to follow. I mean, just use the most beautiful fabrics. I want to have that in your stash. Beautiful. So, and then I've still got another block to make, and then the sashing, which I don't know quilt speak, but I think that's the sashing. So for that, I bought this fabric, which is a Moda fabric, I'm thinking that can look quite nice. And then I don't know what I'm going to use for these. I think they call them sashing stops, something like that. Little. I'm trying to follow her colour choices. Obviously, it's not the same material, but I'm trying to follow how she's put fabrics together. And then you've got the and then you've got the small borders to do. A cute cat. So I think that's going to take me a few weekends. But I'm getting to the interesting bit now, where you can see the quilt building up. Cutting out the fabric was a bit tedious, but buying the charm packs helped. That was good, because then you just make half square triangles. Yeah, so I'll see how I go with that one. I've bought a couple of these magazines, but I've never done anything out of them up to now. But I really like the look of that one. That's a nice one too. That one there, but that looks really complicated. And again, I think it's the quilting that makes it, isn't it? It's all the swirly bits, technical term. But I don't know what I quite like the patchwork look of the quilt before the quilting. I quite like that. So I think that's it. So hopefully, I don't intend to leave it very long again. I'm hoping I will be able to, well, you don't want to see that pink cardigan again. Perhaps I'll wear it and then have some of my kitchen socks done, and maybe the baby blankets, and certainly that dress will be finished. So we'll see anyway. Oh dear. Well, it's a bit of a marathon, this one. Nearly an hour. Gosh, I don't think I've ever done one that long before. Well, thank you very much for watching. I'll try and put some footage. I took some footage of some birds in the garden on the bird feeder, and it was just amazing. I see it often, and I think, oh, where's my phone? Because to catch the moment, and of course you move and they go, and the birds fly off. But it was a lovely day. It was a lovely autumnal day. It was cold, so the bird feeders were thronged with birds. But I got a little bit of footage, and hopefully I'll be able to remember how to put all this together. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.